The desert wind roared, a voice that had howled across these sands for millennia. Arin Cade stood at the edge of the rigid structure, a colossal spiral carved into the earth of Mauritania. The world knew it as the Eye of the Sahara, a geological marvel. But the ancient scrolls he'd unearthed from beneath the Sphinx told a different story. This wasn't just rock. It was a doorway. He shielded his eyes against the stinging sand, his gaze tracing the concentric rings that vanished into the horizon. He whispered to the wind, his voice nearly lost in its cry. Atlantis? Hidden in plain sight all along. For days he had waited, studying the desert sky. Now, with the ancient star map recovered from the ruins of the Alexandrian library, he knew the moment was right. He aligned the symbols on his weathered chart with the sun's exact position. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then, a low, guttural tremor shook the ground beneath his feet. The very center of the eye began to shift, grinding ancient stone against stone. A wide circular disk, its surface covered in intricate blue runes that pulsed with an otherworldly light, emerged from the sand. A deep, resonant hum filled the air, vibrating in Arin's chest. The disk didn't rise. It sank, revealing a staircase that spiraled down into the darkness of the earth. He checked the straps on his pack, his heart pounding a frantic rhythm. Time to dive into history. The descent was like stepping into another world. The staircase led into a tunnel, not of rough-hewn rock, but of polished stone and luminous crystal. Pulsing blue veins of energy snaked along the walls, casting an ethereal glow that pushed back the subterranean dark. The air was heavy, thick with the scent of ages, salt, stone, and the ghost of a long-vanished ocean. He moved cautiously, his boots echoing softly in the vast silence. He followed the spiraling path deeper, the blue light growing stronger, until the narrow tunnel suddenly opened into a cavern so immense it defied comprehension. Arin froze, every thought erased by pure, unadulterated awe. Spread out before him, glittering under the earth, was an entire city. Soaring crystalline towers, elegant and impossibly tall, rose from the cavern floor, their peaks lost in the artificial twilight above. Graceful bridges, spun from the same luminous material, arched over canals, filled not with water, but with a flowing, glowing blue liquid. The cavern ceiling was dotted with massive crystals that pulsed with a soft, warm light, perfectly mimicking a daytime sky. Atlantis. It wasn't a ruin. It was preserved, alive with the hum of ancient, silent technology, yet utterly empty. A perfect city, abandoned for 10,000 years. This is impossible. Arin breathed, the words barely a whisper. He took his first steps onto a pathway of smooth, white stone. As his boots touched the surface, symbols beneath his feet shimmered and shifted, reacting to his presence. It was like walking on pure information. All around him, holographic images flickered into existence, projected from small floating crystals that drifted like silent sentinels. He saw the ghostly figures of Atlantean citizens walking these same paths, their forms elegant and serene. He saw complex diagrams of unknown sciences, intricate charts of star systems far beyond our own. The entire city was a library, a museum frozen in its prime. But as he wandered deeper, a sense of unease began to creep in. It was too perfect, too still, too quiet. A silence that felt less like peace and more like a held breath. His path led him into a large, circular chamber. At its very center stood a single towering crystal that pulsed with a soft, hypnotic light. As Arin stepped across the threshold, a heavy grinding sound echoed behind him. The great stone door slammed shut, plunging the room into near darkness, save for the glow of the central crystal. A low rumbling began to build, vibrating up through the floor. Panels on the pillars lining the walls rotated, revealing dark circular holes. Before he could even react, high-pressure jets of water shot across the room with a deafening hiss, slicing into the far wall and carving deep grooves into the stone. He dove flat, the jet passing inches over his head. It was a trap. A deadly, elegant puzzle. He scrambled behind a pillar, studying the sequence. Timing, rhythm, a pattern. With a deep breath, he began to move, rolling, sliding, and sprinting between the lethal blasts of water. He saw his goal on the opposite wall, a handprint symbol, glowing faintly. One last, desperate dash. He slammed his palm against it. Instantly, the water jets ceased. The rumbling stopped. Arin leaned against the wall, his lungs burning. Atlanteans didn't play around, but he had no time for relief. The floor in the center of the chamber cracked, splitting apart as something rose from the depths. It was a guardian humanoid in shape, but forged entirely from the same shimmering blue crystal as the city itself. Glowing symbols pulsed and flowed across its translucent body as it took a silent step toward him. Its voice filled the chamber, not as a sound, but as a vibration, like the ringing of 1,000 glass bells. Intruder. Identify purpose. Arin raised his hands slowly, showing they were empty. I seek knowledge, he said, his voice steady despite his racing heart. Not destruction. The guardian's featureless head tilted. A soft light emanated from its form, passing over Arin's body in a silent scan. Suddenly, the scroll fragments tucked safely in his bag began to glow with a fierce blue light, visible through the canvas. The guardian's resonating voice returned. You carry the lost knowledge of the ancients. You may proceed, but the city tests all who enter. With that, the crystalline figure dissolved into 1,000 motes of light and vanished. The wall behind where the guardian had stood slid open, revealing the path forward. Arin stepped into the deepest chamber, the very heart of Atlantis. He was in a grand hall where physics seemed a suggestion, not a law. Great spheres of water hung suspended in mid-air, shimmering and placid. Books made not of paper, but of pure, structured light floated in gentle orbits. Holographic records of cosmic events played out in silent, breathtaking loops. And there, at the absolute center of it all, was the heart crystal of Atlantis. A massive, flawless blue diamond, the size of a car, suspended in the air, rotating with an infinitesimal slowness. As he stepped closer, it reacted to his presence. Images, knowledge, memories not his own flooded his mind. He saw maps of the Earth before the continents had shifted. He saw star charts detailing technologies powered by the deep ocean currents. He saw the cataclysm, the fall of Atlantis, and their desperate escape to this hidden refuge beneath the Sahara. And then, one final, shocking secret. A map, not of the past, but of the future. A map showing where the Atlanteans went next. Arin staggered backward, clutching his head. This changes everything. The moment the thought formed, a piercing alarm blared through the city, shattering the ancient silence. The entire cavern shook violently. His connection to the crystal had been a trigger. By accessing its core knowledge and unknowingly taking a tiny, fractured shard that had broken off, he had activated the city's final protocol. Cracks spiderwebbed across the crystalline walkways. The glowing canals of energy surged, and deep within the city, hidden reservoirs burst. Real water began to surge upward, flooding the lower levels. Arin turned and sprinted. The city was collapsing around him. Towers of crystal groaned and fell, crashing into the rising tide. The guardian reappeared before him, its form no longer serene, its eyes blazing with hostile light. There was no time to fight or explain. Arin leaped over a widening chasm in a bridge, dodged a falling spire, and raced back toward the tunnel, the roar of the deluge right at his heels. He burst back into the spiraling tunnel, the staircase already beginning to retract into the ceiling. Sand and rock poured in from the entrance above. The ground shook with the death throes of the city below. The exit was closing fast. He scrambled up the collapsing stairs, leaping from one crumbling step to the next. With one final desperate jump, he threw himself upward, diving through the narrowing gap just as the great stone disk slammed shut behind him. The sound of its closure, a final, definitive boom. Atlantis was buried once more. He lay on the hot Sahara sand, gasping for air, the desert sun blinding him. He slowly uncurled his fist. There, in his palm, glowed the small Atlantean shard, and within its crystalline depths, a map flickered, a map to a new destination. Arin pushed himself to his feet, a weary, determined smirk on his face. On to the next lost civilization. Thanks for watching our adventure unfold. If you love stories of exploration and ancient mysteries, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join us on our next journey. See you then.